thank our sponsor, Parati's Quality Meats, located in Cranford, New Jersey, serving customers all over New Jersey for the past 50 years. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Coach's Talk presented by the Shore Football Report. And today we have Donovan Catholic head football coach, Coach Dan Curcione. Coach, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Coach. Appreciate it.
Real excited to have you, man. And I had a pleasure of watching you grow as a coach. We have a connection coaching at Lacey Township, not at the same time, but coaching with Coach Versil. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I was on the phone with him earlier, and boy, he's very proud of how far you've come as a head football coach and the direction you're going with your program, Coach. Very well respected.
To hear that.
Coach, let me introduce you first, and then you're going to take the floor and talk about your process. All right, Coach, it's now your fifth season going into Donovan Catholic, where you just were named Coach of the Year by the Shore Sports Network during 2020 season. You won a division championship, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and then 2 years ago, 2019, you also won a division championship, and you took Donovan Catholic and you won a state playoff game and advanced to the state semifinals. That had to be something real exciting in your program.
Just watching the home crowd, because we got the opportunity to win a home playoff game. That was one of the memorable moments, since I've been at Donovan. It was really, really exciting just seeing the kids and their parents enjoy the moment, knowing how much work they put into it.
And all the alumni guys from around town were there wearing their old jackets. Do they fit like a Tommy Farrell senior? Was he wearing that jacket and all that? But
I didn't see him on that night, but I'm sure he was pretty excited.
But it's amazing when you get what you're doing in your program, the excitement and bringing back the alumni must be something you must be pretty proud of.
Nobody was there last year, but I hope you're right. I hope that we have a good good following. I know of a couple people that enjoy coming back and watching it, and that's something that I think we can build on going forward, as long as we have full packed stands this year.
Coach, I got a chance to play you in the first game you ever coached at Donovan Catholic, and I knew the staff that you assembled, and I knew the direction that you wanted the program to be in. I'm just very lucky to have played you game one and not anything after that, because you played with a bunch of freshmen, sophomores, and I went, oh my God, I do not want to play these guys when they get a little bit older. But there was so many newspapers following you and all this stuff, and all of a sudden we're the game of the week. I'm like, what the heck's going on? But you created such a hoopla over there, and rightfully so. Your kids have progressed. That must have been exciting, taking a group of freshmen, sophomores, and coaching them up for the next 3 years and watching them grow.
Yeah, that first year was nerve-wracking, and it was. I don't know. That game against you wasn't all that fun at the end. You guys threw an interception late. But, it was a big learning experience that year. And we played a lot of really young kids, and, and they grew within the program. And it culminated in last year's season where we had, a really, really good football team. And we still have some other kids that are that have been there for 4 years. But that first group ended last year, and they were a real special group. And I'll always when I think of Donovan Catholic and think about my time here, one day when this is all over, I'll never forget that group. Like the Cam McNairs, the Dominic Naceros, the Kwame Greens, all those guys.
Yeah, and them passing the torch to the group now is probably something special. But you gotten better, not just from game one, but each year. Your program has elevated to new grounds, and that's something you should be very, very proud of, Coach. You really should. Prior to Donovan Catholic, you were at Wall, and you won a state championship in your last year there, 2016, and also was named Coach of the Year by the Shore Conference Network there. So you won a state title, and then you left to go to Donovan Catholic. So you had a great run for the 3 years there, and then you left. Before that, you were at Tom Driven North for 7 years, where you won a state championship in 2007, I believe it was.
Yes, I was assistant linebackers and special teams coach. Yeah.
With Chip LaBarca as the head coach. Correct. You were undefeated. I think you were Group 4 or Group 5, but it was the highest level.
Been a while. I think it was Group 4 still at the time,
Yeah.
but it was the biggest group. Yeah, we played Mainland in the finals, and that was another memorable game. That was when there was no neutral sites. We played at home at Toms River North, and packed house. It was a great cold day, great football day.
That was a great day. Yep, one of the better teams ever in Ocean County, going 12-0 there. So before North, you were at Lacey with Lou Versillo for 2 years, and that must have been a great ride because Lou's one of the all-time greats, man, and coaching for him for 2 years. Did you get anything out of that stuff? And I don't mean like long practices, like when Coach.
We definitely had some long practices, but there's still stuff that I use that I learned from Coach Versillo on a daily basis. There's no doubt about it. One of the smartest football minds you'll ever be around. I mean, and I don't need to tell you, you know better than me, Coach. But the man knows a lot of football, and I was lucky enough to learn, probably as little as I learned from him. It was a lot going forward in my career, without a doubt.
Yeah, I enjoyed my stop there too. And then before Lacey, you were at Lakewood for 1 year, and that will take us right to where we are right now with the process. So that's an impressive resume, Coach, and you're still young and you're still going. But I want to hear now, and everybody else wants to hear the process on how did you become the head football coach at Donovan Catholic? Now, all the steps that led up to it. So the first time you put a mouthpiece in and played football in a Pop Warner or youth football, whatever you want to call it, and all the stops and who helped you out and made you want to be in that position that you're at right now.
All right. Well, this is it might be a little bit of a lengthy story,
That's fine.
But definitely, when I first think about my first football, person that put an impression on me or meant anything, it's certainly my dad. My dad played college football. He was an offensive lineman, and he impressed. He coached my first flag football team, and he just, it was football. We were a football family, and growing up with him and being around him, he instilled his love of the game on me, and how the toughness that you need when you play. I got a lot of that from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Brick, I went to Brick Memorial High School, but before that, we played Brick. Played what is called Brick Youth Football. It wasn't Pop Warner. It was at first, I think, and then we changed over. But back then, when we played in Brick as a youth program, we were one program. It was both the Brick Township side and the Memorial side combined as one. Mm-hmm. Now, if you go back in time, it's the 1995, 94, 93 Brick Township teams, which were very good. One of them was the state championship team. And our teams weren't at Memorial, we weren't a slouch either. So we combined the youth, and we had a really good team and tough team. And that was coached by a man named Joe Morris. And he was tough. And I got my first taste of football playing for him. Our conditioning, our practices were very difficult. Mm-hmm. So I look back on those practices; they're probably more difficult than the college practices that I went through. And it instilled a lot of toughness, and it's where I learned to grow and love the game of football. I loved it. Mm-hmm. I loved it. That you had to be tough, that you had to suck it up, and that it was a difficult sport. From there, I went to Brick Memorial High School, and I had a tremendous experience. I played for Jim Calabro. Ed Sarluca was our defensive coordinator. And I looked up to all these guys. Vinny Dalicardillo was my position coach. I played linebacker. On offense. I jumped around. I started at tight end 1 year. I started at quarterback 1 year. And then I was wide receiver my senior year, which people don't believe looking at me now. It was about 60 pounds ago. But I played, I looked up to these guys. I remember I grew up going to Brick Memorial games and watching Vinny Dalicardillo play football. He was, one of the guys I looked up to, and I wanted to emulate being, playing for the Mustangs, and being able to play for them was something I always looked forward to. I could walk there from where I lived, so it was pretty close to where I grew up. Paul Walski. I might name a couple of other guys because these guys meant a lot to me when I played there. Paul Walski was the first guy that introduced coaching. He said, "You ever think about being a teacher and being a coach?" And I said, "No, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think about that." And he said, "Well, it's not that bad." He goes, "And you're a football guy." He goes, "I think it's something that you should think about." Now, when I went to college right away, I didn't go to be a teacher right away, but that always stuck in the back of my head what he said to me that day. It comes back around in my life. Just a couple other guys that I played for there were tremendous coaches. Ed Raleigh was our offensive coordinator. He was a tremendous wing T coach. He was a great guy as well. There's so many good stories that I could tell about him. And Dean Albanese is another guy that was just a tremendous wrestling coach, tremendous football coach, tremendous person that I ended up working with on the beach later on. So from Brick Memorial, I ended up going to the University of Buffalo on a full football scholarship to play linebacker. And I was fortunate enough to start my freshman year. I was recruited by a guy who actually coached in the Shore Conference for a couple of years. I think 2 years, 1 or 2 years. His name's Ed O'Neill. He was my recruiting coach and my position coach.
He was at Freehold Township, wasn't he?
That's correct, yes. And he coached, I believe he coached at Rutgers for a time period for that.
Syracuse, too, yeah.
He played in the NFL. He played in the NFL for the Detroit Lions and then for the Green Bay Packers. And I learned a tremendous amount of football from him. Another guy that was just a great mentor to me and somebody that I looked up to and that I just sat in the room and listened to when he talked about playing linebacker and just absorbed, all the information that I could. So I was a 4-year starter at Buffalo for all the games that I was healthy. Because my first 2 years I started every game, but then I had some nerve damage in my leg actually. And so I was back and forth between being injured and not injured my last 2 years. I only played a handful of games, but, and you take it as a learning process. I look back at it and I think about, you learn from the training aspect of it, what the trainer's room was like for the first time and what it was like rehabbing and working with the trainers. It was a difficult time period because I was told I wasn't going to ever play again. And eventually I did. And so it was, and there was another guy there, Mike Riley, was our trainer that I spent so much time with, rehabbing and running in the pool and trying to get back on the field. So Buffalo was a tremendous experience. I learned a lot of football and, learned a lot about how I wasn't such a great player. You get to play against guys from all over the place. Think you're really, really good. And
that's big-time football coach, yeah.
you get to meet some guys that can really, really play. And, I was fortunate to play with a couple of guys that ended up in the NFL. So after college, I really wasn't settled on what I wanted to do. And I went to I got a job at Lakewood as a paraprofessional. I worked in a class with students who had autism. And I remember becoming friends with one of the gym teachers there. His name's John Fry. And it was at Oak Street Elementary School. And he was like, you got to meet the Lakewood coach. They're two brothers. There's one older brother, one younger brother. And he goes, they're young. He goes, you like it? And I'm like, John, I don't really have. I played. I never really looked at it like I wanted to coach. And it was strange, but and so eventually he kept on me, and eventually I sat down and I sat down. I met Dave Ozerwitz, who was the Lakewood coach there, and I got and he was we went through a little interview, and I wasn't even sure I wanted to do it, and he kind of convinced me to do it, so I signed up for doing it for 1 year, and I had a blast. I loved it. It was fun to be back in the game because it's the greatest game in the world. It was fun to coach kids. I had a really good linebacker that year, Sydney. I don't remember Sydney's last name off the top of my head. I should, but we're going back 19 years now.
Showing your age.
Was such a tremendous kid. I just had such a great experience that I just kept doing it. After that, I was able to go to Lacey for 2 years. And I coached with Dave and Mike Ozowitz for probably a good 10 years going forward. They were the first two guys that I really got into it with. And when Dave moved over to Lacey with Mike, and I went there with him to coach with Coach Versillo. And you know, we talked about that already. Just so much, you know, I was such a young, dumb kid trying to learn something, and you know, half the stuff Coach was talking about at the time, I you know, I couldn't grasp all of his concepts at the time, because he just knew so much more about football than I did at that time. So I like to say that I learned a little bit of what I heard, because you don't comprehend everything right away, and then but I used that, so much of that, like I said, every day. He's a fantastic coach. From there, I went to Toms River North for 7 years. I was always a linebacker coach. I coached a lot of special teams. I was a special teams coordinator at North.
How'd you know Chippy? Chippy was the head coach there.
I got introduced to him by Dave Ozowitz.
Okay.
So I took a year off after 2 years at Lacey and went into a master's program down in North Carolina, because now at this point I decided I wanted to do education. So I took a year off, and in that year, Chip got the head coaching job at Toms River North. And, I remember Dave calling me up, like saying, "Oh, you got to come back. You got to come back." And I'm like, "Well, when I finish the program here, I'll come back. I need to teach it." So I finished it, and I got it done in enough time to be able to come back and student teach at Toms River North.
Wow.
And I met Chip and got a teaching job. I did student teaching there and got a teaching job shortly thereafter. And I've been working there now. This will be my 14th year, I think, teaching in Toms River this year. I love my job. I work at the middle school. And now I teach history, but back then I taught a careers course. So it's another one of my loves. I do like history. I do enjoy teaching the class. But for there, I met Chip, and Chip and I pretty much became really good friends throughout the next 7 years. And and I worked with Dave. Dave did the defense. I did the linebackers. We had a good run there. We had some really, really good teams. 2007, we were the only undefeated Toms River team in the history of the town.
I mean, just think of that. Think of that, Coach. You're at North right now, and you had Chip LaBarca, you have Dave Ozowitz, and yourself.
That's right.
Right now, three big time coaches in Ocean County, and you're all at the same spot, and then you spread out, and now it's pretty cool how things work out.
Yeah, we had Dean Helstowski.
Dean Helstowski,
head coach.
Yeah, another good one.
And Mike Ozowitz is capable of being a head coach. We had a really good staff. We played in a lot of big games. 2007 was the year we put it all together. We had the late great Zach Kane was one of the most unbelievable players I've ever coached. It was a very memorable time period. Looking back on it, anybody who played us knew that we were gonna be pretty tough, and we were pretty tough defense for the most of those 7 years. Really good in 07.
Oh yeah.
So after meeting Chip, I was able to be the DC there 1 year at North. I got my first taste of being a coordinator. I don't know what is that, like 10 years into coaching. So anybody who thinks it happens quick, happened quick for me. It didn't. It was a long, this was a long process. Then they made a change at North, and Chip was no longer the coach. And I kind of sat around for like 2 months, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and I had no idea what where I was going to coach. I really didn't have anybody who came to me with any opportunities. So it was on the New Jersey Coaches Association email. I found out it's like the help wanted for coaches. So and so's looking for a defensive coordinator, and I really wanted to continue to be a coordinator. So I saw that Wall was looking for a defense coordinator. Nick Gregorio was the coach at the time, and Nick was looking for somebody to run the defense. And I answered the ad, and I went for an interview there and met Nick, and Nick's a great guy as well. and met Tom Rideau and Rob Panicue. They all interviewed me for the job. I was like, it's not only the high school. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that for a coordinator position. That, I got the AD and the principal and vice principal there, but it went well. I got the job, and my first year at Wall, I was the defense coordinator, and we had a pretty good defense. We didn't have a great year, but we had a pretty good defense.
Mm-hmm.
That year, Nick moved on to coach up north. I forget the name of the school. I want to say it's Dover. And I put in for the Wall job. I was there, and I really liked the kids. I liked the opportunity, and I got the job. I got the job to be the head coach, and it was a pretty similar situation to Donovan when I first started out. That we weren't very, it's tradition rich, so it's not a little different. I don't want to make it sound like Wall, never won before or anything like that, because that's certainly not true. But it was, they had a couple lean years. They had a really good freshman class coming up. And it was a great group of kids that I kind of started, playing the young guys early and getting them experience. And we made a run in 2016. That is the highlight of my coaching life so far. We won the state title. There's nothing like it.
Beat a good Delsey program. That was good.
Unbelievable program.
Yeah.
One that's had so much success that barely throws the ball. They're wing team. They're the triple option in the same offense. It's really difficult to defend.
Yeah.
Our kids played really well. Mike Andreyko, Darian Valme, Kyle Daly-Cardillo, Scott, Gene Scott, A. Scott, and Sean Larkin. You can't forget him. He was fantastic. Just a great group, really, just a bunch of winners, and it was a really great experience. And then after that, I went and took the job at Donovan, and here I am 5 years later. It's been 5 years already. Time goes quick.
Wow, it's amazing, man. All the stops. I love watching coaches when they talk about their stops and smiling and reminiscing on some great times, because that's all it's been for you is great stops, great times for you, Coach. Now you left Wall to go to Donovan Catholic, and I know everybody has a vision when they get to go into a new program. Did you ever think about where you would be at going into your fifth season at Donovan Catholic? Now, Donovan Catholic was going on some lean years prior to you. And if you told somebody that you were going to be doing this and you're going to your fifth year, people thought you would be nuts. But right now, you're sitting right now as one of the elite teams in the short conference, and you have a lot to look forward to. So did you ever think about that 5 years ago, that this is where you were going to be at, or you wanted to be at?
I thought that there was a great opportunity there because of the people that are involved, the Tom McMahons, Dr. Gear, and Joe Gomolka at the time when I got the job was our AD. When I went into the interview, I asked a lot of questions, and the answers, and the plan was there. And to me, it was it's just going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take, putting in the time. But I love football. I do it, I love doing it every day. I love being at the school every day. I love being in the weight room. I love the whole process of being a good football team. And I always I look back, I didn't always want to coach, like I was saying, I didn't always know I wanted to coach. I think I always kind of did. But I always loved being a part of the football team. There's nothing like it, in my opinion, in sports. It's just the camaraderie. Working one full week for a game. Most other sports, you play a game, you lose, you go home, you got another game the next day. Sometimes when you lose a football game, it's like the world's crumbling. And that fits my personality pretty well. I think. I'm pretty competitive, and I love the sport.
I'm going to say one thing. I think 5 years ago, people were very grateful that you made the decision to come to Donovan Catholic, and I know as well you're pretty excited too. All right, Coach, I'm going to just take this thing off and throw it out, all right? I do not ever want to talk anything negative about the COVID anymore. You know as well as I do that we had to adjust a lot of things to get and play football, the greatest sport out there. Tell me something positive that you learned in your program last year during the COVID season, you and your team.
I'm I've repeated this. I've said this to a couple of people. I felt like I was not a good COVID coach during the quarantine. I am a in-person person. I like to be in person. I like to, I like to be face to face. I definitely learned technology, more about technology and the use of it. I still prefer to watch film in person. There's things that we learned that would made us better with the technology. I think that if you talk to any coach, that everybody learned a little bit of something about technology. What we're doing right now, with
Yep.
the getting on the computer and having a video conference.
Yeah.
I think that we really learned this, and I think we're used to this in football. It's just the ability to adjust to every circumstance. We watched film outside. We had a big screen TV. We spaced the chairs 6 feet apart. We made sure that everybody was wearing the masks, even outside.
Wow.
We put the film up. We were fortunate enough to have a nice area where we could spread out and yet still get internet service and do that. So we adjusted, and the kids adjusted. Kids are resilient, So I mean, for the ability to be able to play, and everybody wanted to play. That was the common trend. The kids would have done anything. They didn't want to miss that season, and I think to me that's the biggest success out of it. I'm glad we're getting back to normal now.
That's the first I heard film outside. I didn't hear that from anybody. So it was one of those old school movie theaters watching it outside, right? With the popcorn and all that. But that's great, Coach. You know that all as coaches, we didn't know how to turn these computers on, probably 90% of us. And now we have to communicate with players on a computer and try and get our message across with our schemes and all that. That was quite a challenge. But thank God I had an 11-year-old daughter that showed me how to use it, and I'm sure you had younger people too helping you too, because we're kind of old school and all that stuff. But, I thought one thing I'm going to say from a short conference standpoint was we all bonded together. We all picked each other's brains because we wanted to make it safe and we wanted to play the game because we needed everybody on board with the COVID, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was, I know teams miss some games, but, for the sake of the kids and the players, thank God we were able to pull through and be able to play. Could you imagine missing your senior year of football? I mean, there were kids around the country that, I think they did. And it's thank God we were able to play.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't realize what you got until it's taken away from you. We, for a couple of weeks, were thinking that football was gone, and that kind of stunk.
Yeah, I totally thought that. I totally thought it for a while, and it was very depressing.
It's depressing. It's depressing for all of us.
You couldn't even go out to eat to feel better about it.
No. It was an adjustment for not just the kids, but for us too. And we had to hold the fort down, but yet we're dealing with the same issues as they are. And we're watching the same news channels as they are. So we're hearing the gossips and all that stuff. So, but we overcome it. And let's promise this, let's not wear a mask anymore. Hopefully this year, right? Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Okay, Coach, now what I'm going to ask you to do is talk about your Donovan Catholic football schedule on the left. And then on the right-hand side, we're going to talk about the newly assembled American Division, which has a bunch of new faces that you'll be playing in the American Division. Go ahead, Coach, you got the floor.
All right. So we start out with a showcase game at Rutgers University this year. Mm-hmm. First off, I think that we have a really difficult and challenging schedule. I just saw a ranking the other day where I think we were ranked, I don't know, in the 11th in the state for the toughest schedule. I'm not even sure. I think that's like calculating the power index or whatnot.
OSI, yes.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. This is where we wanted to get to. We wanted to challenge ourselves on a weekly basis. Mm-hmm. We're able to open up at Rutgers on September 4th. We're going to play a team out of New York, which is Archbishop Stepinac. If you look at the, I want to say it was like Barstool or one of those sites, they did like a high school team for each state, like who was the top high school team for each state. And Stepanak was New York's team of,
Wow.
I don't know how many years or whatnot, but they have tremendous tradition. They've been really good. It's going to be a heck of a challenge to play them. And we're looking forward to it. We get to open up a little New Jersey versus New York battle on Labor Day weekend, and we're real excited about it to be able to go up to Rutgers University and be able to play.
Wow.
From there, we go to Rumson the next week. So that's certainly going from one tough game to another tough game.
Mm-hmm.
With their tradition and how well they're coached and what Coach Schulte has done there. It's not going to be an easy game by any stretch. They're going to be really difficult, really tough. They like to run the ball and play good defense, and that always makes for a good, hard-hitting contest. And then the next game, we play our first home game against Toms River North, which, as anybody knows, they are a top program year in and year out. And, we have no breaks here. We go the following week to Colts Neck, when up and coming, they had a tremendous year last year, up and coming program. Coach Ahern's done a tremendous job there in the last couple of years. It's going to be another game where it's not easy. All of these games are games that you're capable of winning or losing. There's no gimme here at all. Next week we go up to St. John Vianney, which is going to be another challenge. They're another team that I believe they're going to have a really good squad this year. They have a heck of a young quarterback. I don't know if he's young anymore. He's a junior, but they're going to be a pretty tough team. Then we get Wall at home, a rematch of last year's game pretty much. And everybody knows they'll probably end up being the number one ranked team in the Chore to start the season. So another really good team. The following week, we get to play Rahway at home, and we schedule them just like Stepanak. We picked up 2 games, and they had a really sound year last year. I want to say they were 5-2. And look at it. They're traditionally a really good team, a really tough team. There's not one easy game there. All those games are really difficult, and that's exactly what I was looking at when trying to put this together. I want to be prepared at the end of the day and be the best football team we can be by challenging ourselves.
Yeah, Coach, I'm talking to you for the last couple of years. You wanted to beef up your schedule. You wanted to play the top teams. That's what you wanted. You've always said it. You never, went against that word, what you were saying. But your showcase, your St. John Vianney and Rahway non-conference games, that's to add to the American, which we're going to talk about in a second. That's you really beefed up your schedule. Now that showcase game, I want to know, how did it come about? Like, how did you guys both meet up and do that? Did you call them up, or did somebody?
I went back to the New Jersey Coaches Association in their monthly email, and I was looking for a game. I wanted a game to open up the season. And then you could advertise on there, like you could, put in an email and they'll put it up. And John Jacob gave me a call after I had put my request in, and he's like, "Hey, are you interested in playing, in the at Rutgers to start the season? And what is Rumble on the Raritan and Showcase event?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, we're interested." I'm like, "Who are we going to play?" And the team changed a couple times, not because of anybody backing out or anything, just because it kind of evolved. And it ended up being that we're gonna play a New Jersey versus New York kind of matchup day. We're gonna play a New York team. I believe DePaul Catholic is gonna play a team from New York, and I want to say Don Bosco Prep is gonna play a New York team. So they're all parochial schools, and we all play on the same day, I believe. So that's how it kind of evolved. I can't take much credit for anything. I just said, heck yeah, we'll play. We'd love to go up there and challenge ourselves right away. And from there, Coach Jacob was the one that put it together with a couple of other men in the Coaches Association, and we're grateful that they included us.
It's going to be really interesting to see. Now you're going to do some coaching where your guys are hyped up playing this showcase game, and rightfully so. It's a big game for your program and all that. But after that game, looking to the right, coach, is the American division. You start playing those traditional powers that you know about. And that's going to be tough to play a hyped up game at Rutgers. And then, hey, guys, now we're playing in the biggest division in the Shore Conference. Looking at that team, coach, Colts Neck is loaded. They got everybody back basically from their team that they surprised everybody last year, including yourself. You guys got all the right pieces too to make another big run. Rumson, they're a traditional state power every year. Tom Driver North, they have their program going always at a high level every year too, and they're a local team, a rivalry. And then Wall, and you played Wall in the Shore Conference tournament final, came down to 1 yard, and your guys are just as excited to play them again, the two top teams in the Shore Conference. So that's a tough American division, right? But that's where you want to be at.
I don't know if there's a tougher division. I can't believe there could be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at these teams. Each and every single one of them are capable of winning the division. Each of them are capable of beating anybody on that list. I think there's going to be some really fun football games. It's going to be stressful as a coach. But for you guys out there that are watching and that want to be fans,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be some fun games to watch. There's no doubt about that.
Coach, us media guys, I can't look any of you head coaches in the eye and say, I got you fifth in their division. They put all the top programs into one division. Every one of them could be a division champion in a normal traditional year, but because of the new structure of our Shore Conference, you put them all together, and every one of them is going to be probably in the state playoffs. It's a very unique type of era we're doing now in the Shore Conference, but that's what we do. All five of those teams could be a division champion at any time this year and in the next couple of years. So that is a very competitive division for us media guys. I can't pick the order of the top five in this, and I couldn't look any of you. Yeah, you got a better chance of picking the Kentucky Derby 1-8 than picking this 1-5. It really is, Coach. But it's going to be exciting for fans. Maybe not as exciting for you preparing every week, but you better enjoy it because the other teams are doing the same thing about you too. They're sweating you out, and you're rightfully put in the right division. And it is an exciting division. And hopefully every one of those teams can have a nice run in the state playoffs too, Coach.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Okay, now, Coach, if you could talk about your assistant football staff at Donovan Catholic. They're the guys that make the head coach look good year in, year out, the glue to the football program. And they have let's start hearing about the guys that you're very proud about on your staff.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Couldn't have said it better myself. That they, I really feel like I have a great staff behind me. That these guys they work hard. They spend a lot of hours, doing football all year. We spend a lot of hours on Sunday. We're there late we're there early in the morning. We stay to the evening.
Mm-hmm.
They put a lot of time and effort in, and I think I have a really great group of guys that not only like working, with the kids and working with the young men and trying to make them better players, but they make them better people as well. The first guy that I have to talk about is Chip LaBarca.
Mm-hmm.
He's the assistant head coach and also the offensive coordinator on our team. Me and Chip have been working together for I think it's 14 years now, and we talk every day about the football team. I don't think there's a day, this includes the off season, obviously. I don't think there's a day that goes by where we aren't bouncing ideas about the team, off of each other and talking about it and how we can be better. He's a great offensive mind. He's just somebody that I've learned a lot about football, working with for all these years. I coached underneath him
Mm-hmm.
at Tom's River North for 7 years. He came over and coached for 2 years on my staff at Wall. And now we've been together 5 years here at Donovan. So a great friend and a great coach as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next was Jack Nascimento. Jack coaches our quarterbacks. Just another guy. If you kind of look at guys that have been on my staff, I try to get guys that are that were head coaches. I always thought that was important. If you go back to my wall staff, I had a couple of guys on the staff that were head coaches, Joe Trezza and Bob Grace, or people that I think that are capable of being head coaches. I think that's important, and Jack falls into that category. He's a guy that I think is very capable of being a head coach one day if that's what he chooses to do. Another guy that I've developed a great relationship with. He was at Vienna previous to coming to Donovan. Just an excellent coach and real good with the kids. Tough on them and real good with them. Next is Dean Helostowski. He coaches our running backs. This is Dean Senior. Dean has been a head coach before. He was at Central Regional. I've coached with him many years. He's another guy, he's a passionate guy about football. Has a ton of experience and does a great job. Another guy tough with the kids, but the kids respect it and admire him. The next guy I have coaches not only my offensive line, but does the defensive line, and that's John Power. That's a lot of responsibility. John's a young guy, not too young anymore. He played for us, though, in 2007 at Toms River North. He was the captain of that state championship team. He's a tremendous coach, young for the coaching ranks, I guess I would say, but he's another guy that I think one day, if he chooses to be, he could be a head coach in his own right. But is fantastic with both the offense and defensive lines. It's funny because in the summer, we kind of joke all the time because, we practice all summer and we kind of joke all the time after practice, like, he's got more individual time than anybody. Like, I'm like, you have to come close to running out of drills.
Coach, I'm going to say this, though. He's produced some pretty good linemen. You're becoming O-line U. So whatever you're doing with him, with Indy, keep giving it to him because he's producing some pretty good players.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's got a great passion for the game. Next guy I'm going to talk about is our outside linebackers coach. Ryan Wells. Ryan's he's an alumni of Donovan. He joined on right when we started, and it was the first time I got to meet him. He has done a tremendous job with our outside backers. So we always have pretty good outside backers, and Ryan does a really good job. He's learned the defense and studied it, and does a good job with those guys. Next guy is Dino Helostowski, young Dean. He's the son of Dean. He just graduated Rutgers. He's our DB's coach. Another guy that I think he has aspirations one day of being a head coach, and you could see that already kind of manifesting itself in him because of his work ethic, and he's my young coach that I go to, for technology, for and Coach Bruno too. I do that with, but I'll get the coach. For music, what music to play, for music. I don't know any of that stuff. And it's good to have the young guys.
Oh, yeah.
What coaching shirts look good. I'm not a fashion guru. I wear the same stuff all the time. But Coach Dino Helostowski's got a really bright future with us and in his coaching career as well. Next guy is our football. I call him football operations coach. Bob Coates does our filming, does anything that you could possibly ask. Will come down and condition the kids, can come down and coach, can pick up any position and coach. He's a jack of all trades. He is a tremendous guy that will do anything for our program and works hard. And, just there's so many people behind the scenes of what we do as head coaches that that people don't realize how much stuff that I don't do and that needs to be done. Yeah. And Bob's one of those guys who does a great job of all of that. Next is our freshman staff. Our freshman staff is Mike Halala's. I kind of give them a dual head coaching, but I'd say Mike's the first guy I'd mentioned. Mike, Coach Halala does a really good job with disciplining the freshmen, teaching them the game, keeping them together as a team and just being passionate about it. And Eric Bruno also he's another alumni of Donovan, and Eric's been with the program for a while now. Eric is also a freshman coach. Both of those guys do a really good job. They hustle from the freshman game. They get the end zone camera set up. They get the huddle sideline set up. Mm-hmm. They do a tremendous amount, and they're really good football coaches as well as hard workers. I have two volunteer assistants this year, which I'm excited to add to the freshman staff. One is Charlie Dowling. He is a graduate of Donovan as well. It's going to be his first year coaching, and Coach Dowling has started working with the freshmen already, and I'm excited to get those guys some more help. It's tough to do that with two coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Having four guys is much easier. And Vinny DeStasio is another one that's going to help out with our freshman team. So we have some guys that we're looking, that we're looking to help out, and we were happy to have them. And I'm looking forward to seeing our freshmen this year. I think we have a really good freshman class. Yeah. I also get the opportunity. I have a strength and conditioning coach that works with all the athletic programs at the school. It's Mark Deppen. So he's able to work the kids out, before practice. Man, we lift a lot. I have the kids lift before practice all year, all year round. We make sure that we are consistent with trying to remain injury free, and Coach does the year round program with them, and he does a really good job with the kids, getting them strong and during the season keeping them injury free.
Coach, a lot of familiar names you're mentioning through my years when I'm coaching that we cross paths. But I love watching your expression when you talk about the younger guys, because we all have them. I'm older now, and you need them because they bring some juice into the locker room, not only with the players, but also those experienced coaches. You got Chippy LaBarca, Dean Halstowski. I'm sure they get them going too, but it's always good to get the right people in your program to be part of your coaching staff. Having the younger guys, does that excite you to get more people involved with your veteran staff?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to have a mix of young and older, I think it's definitely something that's important. Listen, I don't really actively go out and search for coaches. Mm-hmm. We've kind of all been together.
Yeah.
And I love listening to people that have, come to me and been like, hey, listen, I'm looking for a coaching opportunity. And I always take the time to listen and see. And, the young guys are the guys that I feel like I like getting, because, you can they don't have these preconceived notions sometimes. Mm-hmm. You can kind of teach them, how we do things, and tell them, hey, always learn something. I've coached with a lot of coaches before. You could learn something from every coach.
Right.
It might be something that, more times than not, it's something that are really good, positive things. Mm-hmm. But you could also learn things you don't want to do. And I'm like, just don't get in my ear all the time about the things you don't want to do.
No, Coach, us head coaches, we have one side of the ball that we are more of an expert at. We know you're a defensive guy. We are. So you got a guy in your staff that you worked with in other spots, as in Chip LaBarca on offense. How much did that take that load off you that helps you out being a head football coach? Having him say, take the offense, do it. I'm going to be the head coach and do the defense. How does it help you?
If anybody knows me, you're right. I'm passionate about defense. I played linebacker. I love coaching defense. I love the challenge of stopping somebody. And to be able to put the time that I put into that, you can't do both. To me, anybody who tries to do both, I guess you can do it, but I don't know how I don't know how you have the time in the day to do it properly. And to have somebody with Chip's experience and success and somebody I trust, I'm very grateful for it. I think we have a good thing going, and I think that he is, like I said earlier, he's a fantastic coach, and he's a friend. We get along more with in life, and not only coaching.
Yeah, no, that's an impressive staff here in the younger guys, and of course I know Chippy from year. I mean, we both graduated same year, so we all coached at different spots. Never crossed paths coaching against each other, but always had respect for each other throughout the years. And he's a good guy to have on your staff, and a winner, just like yourself, Coach. That's impressive staff. Right now, Coach, let's talk, or you're going to talk 2021 Donovan Catholic football team with all those great players that you have. But before you go on, just tell us what you guys run offensively, defensively, and then talk about those exciting football players that make you smile right now. Go ahead.
Awesome. For offensively, we run what you would call, I guess, a power spread. Your Ohio State, your Auburn type offense. I don't know if Auburn's still doing that, but your Ohio State offense, where quarterback sometimes is a dual threat. The offense is kind of morphs around the talent. If we have a strong running game, like we did last year, we're capable of running your 21 personnel, your 22 personnel. I think we have a lot of personnel groupings, and we're capable of morphing the offense around our skill and what our strengths are. And I think it's kind of similar of what we do on defense. I say we're a 3-4. It's kind of like a lie, because sometimes we're a 3-4, sometimes we're an odd front, sometimes we're an even front. And sometimes, we look like a 4-4.
Multiple. Yeah.
I think in this day and age, you kind of have to be defensively because of all of the things that defenses do, or offenses do, excuse me. Some teams spread it out. That's what's great about high school is, you can get 1 week, you could have a triple option team. The next week, you got a team that runs nothing but empty. Yeah. So I think it really challenges us as coaches. To talk about the returners. Yeah. I think we have a really nice, really good senior group this year. We had a really veteran group last year. A lot of seniors graduated, but going through the list, I never really counted them. I think we have a good group of returning guys. The first guy I have on the list, I'll just go in alphabetical order. Nunez Bukala. Nunez is a big tailback for us. He really isn't the return. He isn't really a returning starter because Jadir Laughlin was our starter last year, had a tremendous year. But I've been telling everybody that would listen. Nunez would have started on almost every other team that we played last year, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table this year in the games. I have a few, I've seen, glimpses of it already, and I've seen him in practice. He's a hardworking kid, and I'm looking forward to him running the ball a lot more this year. Jalen Butler's another returning starter. Jalen plays quarterback and safety as well. He didn't start at quarterback last year, but he was a starter at safety. He's a big physical kid. He's like a box safety. For us, probably be more of a half safety for us this year if he's playing quarterback. He's got a lot of experience. He's a kid, I think that, both these kids I mentioned already, I think will go on and play college football. So I'm looking forward to seeing Jalen play a little bit more quarterback this year and seeing what he could do. But I'm excited about having him back. He's got, like I said, a lot of experience. Next guy is Aaron Crooms. Aaron was a all-shore. I think he was third-team all-shore at guard. He's just a really tremendous young man, hard-working kid. Plays guard, plays D-line, offensive line, defensive line. Puts in a lot of hours, as do all these other kids too, in the weight room. And I'm excited to see Aaron this year. We like to pull our guards a lot, and I think he has fun in our offensive scheme. Next kid is Connor Farrell. Connor started at outside linebacker last year, but he'll also play a lot more on offense this year. He'll play tight end. Maybe even H-back type. He could probably do that as well. Played outside linebacker for us. I expect to see him there too. Kind of plays an outside linebacker and also like almost a DN type position, almost like a hybrid at times. He's a good pass rusher off the edge, has a lot of experience. Another kid that, he's a high academic kid, and another kid that will play in college somewhere. Somebody will be lucky to get him. Next kid is Nat Ianello. Nat started at outside linebacker. Connor and Nat were the outside linebackers last year, but we're going to move Nat inside this year. Nat's a big, strong, tough kid. Puts in hours in the weight room. He's also a fullback for us. Didn't play that last year, but definitely a returner on the defense. Has put in a lot of time already learning the mental aspects of the game, which I'm proud of it. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do tomorrow because got a couple of days off here now. We get it rolling officially. But looking forward to a big year from Nat. Nico Ippolito is our next guy. Nico, it seems like Nico's been playing here for 10 years. He's played for 4 years. He played as a freshman for us on the defensive line. Nico's going to play some offensive line this year as well. So he'll be a two-way starter. He's a big, rough, tough nose guard. I don't know if he made an all-shore team last year. If he didn't, he probably should have because he's definitely that type of talent. He's like a 6'2", 6'3", 320-pounder on the nose guard, and just a hard worker. Next guy is one of our best overall players. It's Curcione McNair. Curcione started on the offense and defensive lines last year. Sometimes I forget who starts on the defensive lines for us because we like to rotate. We have 3 guys who put their hands down, and we just rotate the heck out of them. So sometimes I'll say we have 6 starters because they play equal amount of snaps. And Curcione, I think he started, but he definitely rotated on a regular basis. But on the offensive line, he was tremendous for us last year. He was one of our other pulling guards. And he's got a number of offers already, FBS and high FCS schools. So he's a definite college football player. And just another kid, another hardworking, really good kid. Just is in the weight room every day. It's fun when you don't have to chase anybody down. You don't have to do attendance. That's what That's when you have the makings of a good team. So next guy is another returner on the offensive line. We got 3 returners on the offensive line and 2 tight ends that are kind of returners. Rob Madison is a returning center for us. In what we do, I love saying this all the time because people don't realize how important center is to a football team, particularly a football team that doesn't go under center. We're in the shotgun every down. And when you don't notice the center, that's a good thing.
That's good. That's good.
His best attribute is when nobody knows he played in the game other than mom and dad, because one bad snap ruins a drive.
One bad snap, everybody knows his name. Yep.
You got it. Rob does a tremendous job. Rob plays also defensive line. He's got a lot of experience playing the center position, and he's going to have a big year. He's big and strong this year. He's another kid. All these kids I've listed all have aspirations of playing in college, and all are capable of playing at some level, or at one level or another. The next kid on the list is Gavin Nugent. He's our returning kicker. We're looking for market improvement from him this year. He was pretty accurate in his extra points last year, and we hope that he makes a step up. He's got a full year of experience in big games, and we're looking forward to seeing him step up as well this year. Next is my son, Rush Isdale. My son plays wide receiver and DB, probably a little bit more safety this year. He's another guy. He's I love using my one-liners all the time in the defense. Hey, I say to him a lot. I go, hey, you are the experienced guy now. It's time to act like that. And he's done a fantastic job thus far, stepping up, being a leader, and being the vocal guy, talking on defense, which is very important. And we're looking for a big year out of my son. And Levi Wilkins is our last returning starter. Levi's a good one. He's Levi plays tight end. He plays defensive end. He's your edge guy. He's also really good tight end. He's a kid that is FCS at the least, if not FBS. and he's a good player. He's going to play in college. He's a smart kid, hard worker as well. I got a list of newcomers. So some of the newcomers on the list, I didn't get really too extensive. So if I leave anybody out, all right, I'm sure I'll get an email. Kyrie Drake is a newcomer on the team. He came to us from Mater Dei. As everybody knows, Mater Dei shut down their varsity program this year. Kyrie is a wide receiver and a defensive back, and he's turned some heads in practice so far. He's a good player, and he's a really good kid too. Anthony Pirelli is going to battle it out at quarterback as well. Both him and Jalen are going to take snaps there. Anthony's another kid. He's worked really hard this offseason in the weight room, and he's doing some good things out on the field. We've been rotating our quarterbacks and letting them fight it out. I love competition, and quarterbacks need to love that as well. Gage Redmond is another newcomer. He's going to play DB and running back. So Gage has been with us. This is his fourth year in the program, and we're looking forward to seeing him step up this year. Isaiah Simmons is another DB that we're looking. We have some competition in the defensive backfield this year for spots, and Isaiah's really done a nice job in the 7-on-7 portion of the year. And the last two guys, first is EJ Smith. He plays offensive line and defensive line. EJ's a big, tough, physical kid, and he's been getting reps with the starting offensive line. So we're looking forward to seeing, if he's going to step up and win that job. And then last on the list is Dante Verneri. Dante is one. He's really opened a lot of our eyes this preseason so far. Dante's plays running back and linebacker, super fast, has gotten really big, really strong, putting a lot of time. I think he's going to be a difference maker on our team. I'm looking forward to watching Dante play this year.
Coach, that's impressive players, man, that you were saying. I'm just in my head saying you just had 4-year players through your program, guys that really built the foundation. They're passing the torch to those young men that you just said right now, who are good football players too. You got to be excited with the group of guys you just said, and there's probably a handful more that you still didn't mention that are going to be big key contributors. But the guys that you just mentioned, how excited are you to see the next man up right now in your program?
I'm really excited. It's definitely kind of, like you said, kind of uncharted territory for us so far, because if you go back for 4 years, it was the same guys that played, starting with that game we coached against each other. And, Kwamir Green played linebacker in that game and finished last year playing linebacker. Yeah. So it was, we've had a lot of the same guys. So, you're going to take some more coaching, not so much. And I'm not saying that because of talent. I'm just saying more coaching because of experience level that we don't have, and that's exciting as a coach. We don't. I knew that the two linebackers were going to get us lined up correctly last year. Now I got to coach them a little bit more. We do have some continuity along the offensive line, which is always exciting. But we have another new quarterback this year, and we're looking forward to seeing them step up as well.
Yeah, but I mean, just looking at the guys, I mean, you got guys that look like you've been there, done it in the weight room. Your O-line, D-line is massive, Coach, massive. I mean, Coach Powers has got so many tools to work with his toys to work with, and you got some playmakers. You have an outstanding staff, a very veteran staff with younger guys in there, and your schedule is so beefed up, but this is what you wanted. And rightfully so, you deserve it. You deserve to play in these big-time games. And again, we talked about this earlier. You want to win championships and win, and that's what you're doing. And that's the mentality you got at Donovan right now. And you got to be excited that what you said to me 5 years ago to where you are now, it's coming. This is what you wanted, because that's what you told me before the game when we played that you wanted to be like. And now you are in that situation right now where – it's going in the right direction.
We've got that tough schedule ahead of us, so we're not taking anything for granted.
Yeah, but they're saying the same thing about their schedule with you on it. So it's a respect thing, I mean, you are at that level, and we'll be rooting for you. We want you to beat New York. I'll tell you right now, you better come back with a win.
Thanks, Coach.
I'll be at that game. But a lot of respect to you and your program and what you've done. I've always seen it from a distance, but now I'm doing the media. I'm going to be a little bit closer watching you guys play, because you do have top level players and guys that are going to play at the next level and going to be exciting to watch this season, Coach. So from my end, I'm a fan. I'm a fan right now. So,
I appreciate it, Coach.
So what I need for you, Coach, this is going to be on tomorrow morning. Your video would be on. You need to promote it to your program and let them know that the shorefootballreport.com, that's what I am. I'm a website guy now. I'm going to be promoting not only the Shore Conference, but also your program of your players and all that. And I'm excited to showcase the Shore Conference players and your program too this year. So I want to thank you for being on this show, Coach. It was really great to hear different angles to you as a coach, because when we're coaching, we don't really get to know each other in depth stuff. But I really like doing this coaches talk, because everybody gets to see a different side to each coach in their program. It does.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And thanks for all that you're doing for the Shore Conference, Coach.
It's great, man. We're all in it together. Let's have a fun, safe, exciting season, which I know you're going to do. And I'm looking forward to coming to a practice or two, or definitely a couple of games and all that too, Coach. All right?
Sounds
wishing
great.
Wishing you guys and your whole program the best of luck this year.
Thank you very much.